well, it gives us, the question is about the third down package where you had a kind of different people in there. What that allows us to do is to get speed on the field at positions where we want it. In other words, you got a guy like Zach that is very, very fast, can drop, can do a lot of things. So it allows us to put different people on the field that can do different things.
About Zach in particular, just how pleased have you been with his progression in the first 6 games?
Zach's working extremely hard, and I'm very pleased with him. He's just a typical Buckeye that works as hard as he can each day, and he's got a lot of talent, and he's got great character, and he wants to be a great football player. And so, he works with Larry, and every day you see him get better.
Far left, Lori from 610 WTVN.
Coach, the assistants here seem to love working with Ryan Day, and I'm wondering why you feel that is, and how far it can go toward establishing sort of not a permanency, but a continuity among the coaching staff year after year.
I didn't get the first part, I'm sorry.
Why do people like working with Ryan Day?
Well, the question, why do you like working with Ryan Day? He's who you want to work with. I mean, when you look at this profession, you want to work with guys that have great character, that care about players more than anything, that are very, very genuine. They're not egotistical. They're looking at being the best football coach that they can be, and the best person, the best father, the best husband. To me, that's as good as it gets, and that's what he is. And I think everybody sees that who has the opportunity to work with him.
He says that feeling of camaraderie among the coaching staff filters down to the players. Is that how you feel it works? Or
Yeah, definitely. I think anytime you feel sincere about somebody, and it isn't phony, and it's not fake, and it's what you really, really feel. Our players see the same thing, and I think that's what you're seeing now with our coaching staff and with our head football coach and all parts of it.
Front row right, Tim from Letterman Row.
Yeah, along those lines, Greg, when you got here, did you immerse yourself? Did you read a bunch of stuff about Ohio State football, about its traditions, its history, etc.? I mean, how did you immerse yourself in it so that you could talk, fluently to recruits, etc., about what it means past the X's and O's?
I think I've played against Ohio State, I don't know, maybe 15 times. I didn't have to study anything about Ohio State. Believe me, I know a lot about Ohio State. I knew a lot about every time I had the opportunity to play against them. I knew it was a tremendous, tremendous program. It's as good as it gets, and so I didn't have to read anything about it. Believe me, I knew very well about this program.
And one of the quick, when you watch a team develop through a year, it looks like Sean Wade now is factoring heavily, not that he wasn't to begin with, but what have you seen out of him over the first 6 games that, kind of like, I don't know, paints your picture going forward as far as what you want out of the defense?
Well, I think that's that question and that comment that you're making about Sean Wade could be made about a number of our players, and that's what I really, really like. I think now you're at the 6-game point. You just finished 6, and now you have a week. You kind of go back and self-scout yourself and really look at yourself the way the people you play look at you, and we feel the same thing. I mean, I think Sean and a lot of our guys in the back end, at the linebacker position up front, are developing like we want them to, and we all are realistic. We all understand that we have to get better. 6 games is 6 games. That's all good. That's done. But the young men that we're coaching and the guys that we have the opportunity to coach with really, really are looking forward to getting better every day. And I think that's what you're seeing. They're not satisfied with where they're at right now. And Sean's one of those guys. I mean, we've been really pleased with him.
Front row right, Austin, Letterman Row.
Along those lines, Greg, it's like Josh Proctor's out there singing a little bit more. Cameron Brown filled in pretty well on Saturday night. Is there a sense for you guys that this off date through 6 weeks, the depth is actually starting to build a little bit?
Yes, I mean, it's, we're trying to play anybody that has earned the right to play, and that's what I alluded to earlier. Our kids in practice extremely hard, and they've bought in very, very, to the top as they can. And so therefore, when it gets time, when somebody gets a little tired or somebody needs to come off, it's great to be able to put somebody else in there, and then they step forward. And you're seeing that more and more.
And you've been doing this a long time. I've asked you before about Chase Young and getting a chance to coach him. Is there anybody else that you would compare him to that you've been around in your career?
No. I mean, I don't like to compare. I don't like to compare players, and I get your question. That's a great question. I don't like to compare him because he's his own person. I just know this, that he's very, very talented. He works extremely hard. He has tremendous character. He's got all of it, and so that's all I'll say on that.
Front row left, Nathan from Cleveland.com.
You mentioned this actor, you mentioned him being a typical Buckeye. You worked pretty hard at one point to try to not make him be a Buckeye. I'm just curious, is there anything that you saw from him at that point? What he's doing now, any way that he surpassed what you would have expected at this point, or surprised you?
No, you saw that in him all the time. You saw all the things that Larry is working with extremely hard with. I mean, you've got a young man that's got great height, great range. He's as fast as some running backs at places. He's got great character. He works extremely hard. He's tough. And the technique that Coach Johnson's working with him just gets him better and better. And no, he's just what you thought he would be.
You mentioned the character. Is there any way that's especially crucial for a true freshman as far as why he's able to have success?
Well, yeah, what happens a lot of times, the freshmen, when they come in, they sometimes can go either way. If they're not playing a lot or as much as they were recruited to play, some of these young men in today's recruiting, you're recruiting them like they're first round picks before they've ever played, and the most talented ones are recruited very, very heavily. Well, all of a sudden you get here and you see Jonathan Cooper and you see Tyreek and you see some of the guys that are standing there that haven't played a whole bunch yet, and you can either go one or two ways. And he, like a lot of our guys, have gone this way, and that's a real credit to obviously Coach Johnson, but it's also a real credit to our players. Our players do a great job of mentoring young kids. And I think that's something that is really coming forward now as we go.
Front row middle, Joey from the Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan has mentioned a couple of times that when it comes to defensive game planning during the week, he's only involved very little. A lot of his focus is with the offense and special teams. How typical has that been over your coaching crew, or maybe an offensive coach isn't taking the tentacles in the defensive room as much?
That's been very typical over my career. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of outstanding head coaches, and most of the time that's the way it is. And sometimes if I want to say this though. Ryan has given us some advice, and he has suggested things that would really hurt him on offense, and we've listened, and we've added some of those things, and they've been very good for us. But sometimes when you have the expertise that he does in the offensive part of it, and you try to go two ways, it doesn't work for anybody. And he does such a great job of the offense. It's
Is it the main advantage of it, where he can kind of concentrate on offense and you guys can concentrate on defense?
Yeah.
Do you see the main advantage?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think you have to be with that group that you're with along a lot of time. You can't just step in and say, I'm going to do this now, and then come back. You know what I mean? He spends a lot of his time with the offense.
Second row right, Tony from the Ozone.
Greg, having a third corner like Sean Wade would be a luxury for some. I think in this defense, it's a necessity. And what does he allow you guys to do?
Well, he allows us to be able to match personnel groups, so that if a team's going to bring out 4 wide receivers, for example, you don't have to narrow down what you call because of who's out there physically, you know, and so you can therefore match what they give you and then still have the same aggressive attitude.
And then corners overall are generally a chatty bunch on the field. And how do you feel about corners who talk? And what is your general theory on?
Well, you're out there in front of the whole world now, you know, and especially when you play as much man-to-man coverage as we do. You better be a little different out there, and you better have confidence, or you just aren't going to make it out there. I mean, you're out there, just think about that for a second. I mean, you got that whole field, and you are out there one-on-one, and you're not going to get any help, you know, so you better have a lot of confidence in yourself, and you better have personality.
And so you give them enough room to express that, but how do you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you say give them room. That's just to me the stereotype of the corners that I've been around, you know, and again goes back to character and discipline, which we have here, and that's why you always go to that point and you can't go over it. And I think our young men understand that because it's a team.
Second row left, Stephen.
Yeah. There's a lot of elements in this defense that are just better than last year, but one of those that really stands out is in the red zone. You guys have only given it 4 touchdowns and 4 field goals, and you've even blocked some field goals this year. Like, what's clicking in the red zone this year for you guys as a defense?
Well, I think we understand that that's a very, very big part. You know, we talk about a number of things that to be a really, really good defense you have to do, and sudden change, for example, is one where you start on your side of the 50-yard line. You want to rise up and play there. You want to show everybody who you are defensively there. The same thing is true when you get down in the red zone. You know, if you can be the kind of defense that holds an opponent to 3 points and not touchdowns, that's a huge boost. And that goes all the way through your team. And so that's why we work very, very hard on that part of it.
Right next door, Bruce.
Brendan White, great year last year, not getting as many snaps maybe as people expected this year. Is that style of defense? Is that just guys ahead of him a little bit better?
Yeah, he is getting, he's not getting as many reps maybe as he got last year when he was starting at the free safety position at the end of the year. He's playing the bullet Sam Backer position, which is a one-player position, and if you look at our guys that rotate in, I would say he's in there as much or more than anybody else. And it's early, you know. Everybody goes, well, he's not. He changed from a position where he was a safety down to a linebacker type position, and he's getting better and better every week. And he in games that we played so far, and I think of Nebraska and I think of the others, he had a number of reps, and he will continue to get reps.
So are we more likely to see that position, whether it's him or not, on the field against a run-heavy team or against a team where you need a guy to cover?
Well, it'd be both. And that's the thing. The thing that's happened is in some places where you have to substitute when a team is maybe a pass-happy team. Well, Pete Warner's done a great job, and therefore has given us the luxury where we don't have to substitute to be able to, on a third down, have that taken care of. Well, the same thing's happened with Brennan. He's done a great job. It showed he can play the run, and therefore now I can substitute him on first down and not just on third down.
I'd like to address your comments about Ryan, why he resonates with the staff and the players. You work for Urban and you work for Harbaugh. How's he different?
I don't know if I don't like to compare head coaches. They're all very, very good. You know, I mean, I gotta say, I'm a lucky guy. I mean, to have the opportunity to have worked for those 3 very, very successful coaches, I kind of pinch myself every once in a while. I don't want to compare them. I just want to, they're all very, very good.
And final questions, fourth row left, Jared from WCMH, Channel 4.
Hi, Greg. Obviously, you had a nice luxury here the last couple weeks getting some guys back at defensive end healthy. Jonathan's back, Tyrese back. I'm curious how that affects the way that you go into game planning of figuring out a rotation. I'd imagine it's a great problem to have, right? How do you get those guys in the field? But how do you go about determining how many snaps, who comes in, situational? How how does that work?
Well, we have a very, very experienced and talented staff, and each position coach handles his players and knows exactly how he wants to do it. And for example, like in the defensive line, Larry may say, okay, I'm gonna play this guy 20 plays, and then he'll have somebody chart that throughout the game. And or you may say at a linebacker, I'm only gonna play this linebacker if he was nicked up, only gonna play at the most 4 at one time, 4 plays, then he's out. So we do that, we have somebody charting that for us, and then they'll come to us and say, okay, he's had 4 plays, okay, put the next guy in. And that's the luxury of having a lot of depth, or some talented depth.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you, thanks everybody.
Thanks, Coach.